I can still hear her voice, an echo in the corners of my mind, cutting through the laughter of family gathered around me. "You think anyone cares about that?" My mother scoffs, dismissing my latest piece of writing with a wave of her hand. "You're just being too honest for your own good." Her words sting, laced with disdain, and the familiar idea resurfaces. Why do I still hear her voice in my head, drowning my own? In this crowded living room, shame rolls in like a wave. I fidget with the edge of my sleeve, longing to melt into the background. It feels as if I've been thrust back into childhood, seeking approval and always finding disappointment. My heart races, and I wish I could slip away, escaping the piercing scrutiny that suffocates me. As I take a breath to recenter myself, the distant sounds of laughter and clinking glasses become surreal. I glance at my father, absorbing the TV's glow, visibly absent from the chaos. His silence is a shield for my mother, but leaves me feeling stranded. Her criticisms become the measure of my worth, while my voice is merely a whisper lost in the noise. Closing my eyes, I begin to untangle the emotions swirling within me: anger, confusion, sadness. All were neatly woven into our family dynamic, a web of inherited patterns that have silenced me for too long. A spark of clarity ignites. I can no longer ignore these internalized voices. Though I've played the obedient daughter for years, the truth begins to surface. I don't want to be imprisoned by her expectations and toxic approval any longer. Opening my eyes, I confront this cycle of trauma. I've absorbed my mother's critical voice as if it were my own, and it's time to question its hold over me. This moment has potential. It could break the chains that bind me. I reflect on how my tangled identity has become a mirror, reflecting her shadows instead of my own light. Why do I let her drown my voice? I ponder, allowing pain to shift into determination. Jung's words echo in my mind. The first half of life is devoted to forming an identity. The second half seeks the essence of the soul. I feel compelled to dive deeper and reclaim my voice, uncovering truths buried under the weight of family shadows. As the gathering continues, I realize I am at a crossroads. This could change today. Acknowledging the cycle of my emotional pain, I sense the ember of strength within me growing. It is time to confront these echoes, to face what has held me captive for so long. Today marks the beginning of my journey to break free and reclaim my voice, paving the way for healing and self-discovery. Sitting in my old bedroom, the fading walls echo memories of my childhood, each one saturated with the warmth of nostalgia, yet hauntingly shadowed by despair. The scent of dust amalgamates with remnants of paint, promising safety while whispering the stories of my past. I pull out my journal, its pages filled with confessions and fears, desperate for clarity in the noisy rumble of self-doubt. As I begin to write, I find myself transported back to moments of vivid clarity and painful memories. I recall the time I stood before my mother's mirror at 8 years old, my heart pounding as I fidgeted with the hem of my dress. I sought admiration in my reflection, hoping for just an ounce of approval, but all I heard were her words like jagged shards. "You could stand to lose a few pounds. Just look at your cousin. She's so much prettier." Their echoes sunk into me, breeding relentless self-doubt. I hunched over in sadness, my identity twisted into her expectations, a version of herself I didn't even recognize. Another memory washes over me, home reports that came with the same taint of expectation. "Why can't you be like Sarah?" she would ask, scrutinizing every grade, every achievement with a critical lens. "She's a straight A student and plays the violin beautifully." I felt my self-esteem crumble, each iteration of not enough, weaving a fabric of insecurity that I couldn't escape. The message was clear. My voice had no value unless it met impossible standards set against others. In those moments, I see myself drawing with vibrant crayons, the laughter outside my room fading into silence whenever I hesitated to express my joy. My mother's dismissive comments extinguished the glow of my creativity, whispering fear instead of encouragement. "Why waste time on childish things? You'll never be an artist," she would say. and with each remark, I shrank further from that spirited child. How could something once so pure be suffocated beneath a relentless tide of disapproval? Lurking behind these memories is my father, sitting quietly in his corner, watching the family tumult from a distance. His silence shields my mother from accountability, but in turn, drains the air from my own spirit. I feel the weight of a child caught in the crossfire of familial expectations, my needs subsumed beneath her critical reign. How utterly invisible I sometimes felt, like a wisp of air caught between two heavy weights. Now, as I write, I begin to disentangle these knots of pain, the layers of hurt left unacknowledged for too long. Anger rises at my mother for her unyielding critiques, and sorrow for the child who sought her love but was met with disappointment. The realization that I have internalized her unhealed pain strikes deeply. Her unhappiness projected onto me, mutating into my own self-criticism. I've worn this story as armor, protecting myself but ultimately imprisoning my voice. I focus on the image of my younger self, her eyes wide with desire for acceptance, yet dimmed by a sense of unworthiness. I can almost hear her whisper, "Please, can you see me?" Tears brim as I think of the battles we fought, wrapped tightly against the expectations of a mother who loved fiercely yet filmed with shadows of her unresolved anger. I write furiously. I acknowledge the hurt, the pain locked away in silence. I see you, little Sophia. Your voice deserves to be heard. Each word is a step toward healing, an assertion of the truth that refuses to stay buried. My voice is not a mere echo of her unaffection. It is a crescendo longing to be recognized. This moment stirs my spirit. The memories, once suffocating, now become stepping stones, guiding me towards reclaiming my identity. They weave together the strands of who I am, an individual with her own narrative, separate from my mother's shadows. I resolve to break free from the bindings of past pain. With every stroke of my pen, I feel the chains loosening, a soft liberation unfurling within. Running my fingers along the pages, I pledge to honor those roots, not by letting them bind me, but by letting them nourish my growth. Each hurt transforms into an opportunity. Every wound reflects a lesson learned. I am ready to confront what has held me captive, poised to emerge stronger, and finally using my voice without fear. This recognition sets the foundation for my journey ahead, a path paved with healing, where my story will no longer be drowned by shadows but will soar, creating melodies echoing through the corridors of my past, but now resonating with strength and clarity. One rainy afternoon, I stumbled upon a book titled Man and His Symbols by Jung. Its cracked spine on a forgotten shelf in a local bookstore caught my eye, as if beckoning me to uncover its secrets. Once home, I settled into my favorite chair, eager to explore its pages, the soft light casting a warm glow across the words that might hold the keys to my liberation. As I delved deeper, I came across Jung's discussion about the shadow, the parts of ourselves that we deny or repress. With each sentence, my breath caught in my throat. This was more than a psychological theory. It felt like a personal revelation. I realized I had spent years brushing aside the lingering pain from my childhood, the memories and criticism that played in my mind like a broken record. Jung's insight suggested that acknowledging these shadows might be the very path to my healing. Weeks went by, and I immersed myself in Jung's world, absorbing every ounce of his wisdom. It was enlightening to explore the concept of projection, wherein we often mirror our insecurities onto others rather than confront them within ourselves. I began to reflect deeply on how my mother's voices of criticism mirrored her own fears. They were not even my truths. They were echoes of her own unhealed wounds. In one meditative evening, I picked up my journal and began to map out my emotions through this newfound perspective. Each entry allowed me to release the toxic beliefs I'd held for so long. I identified moments where I felt unseen, unheard, even unworthy. Slowly, patterns began to emerge, connecting the dots between my past experiences and the beliefs I held about myself. The words I wrote spoke truths I had long buried. I am not defined by her judgments. I am resilient. I challenged every negative thought that whispered, "You're not enough." The more I confronted these doubts, the more I reclaimed my power, realizing they did not have to dictate my identity. As I explored the narratives of my past, I felt a transition begin to unfold within me. The shadow once looming above me transformed into a source of strength. I began to recognize those past criticisms were projections of my mother's feelings, and not reflective of who I am. Each encounter with her words became an opportunity for me to assert my own self-worth. "I am worthy," I wrote fiercely, feeling a swell of empowerment lift my spirit. Every stroke of the pen affirmed my right to express my thoughts and emotions without fear. Those memories of judgment became stepping stones rather than shackles propelling me forward on my path. During this process, I discovered Jung's concept of individuation, the journey toward integrating all parts of oneself. It felt like a beacon, guiding me to embrace not only the light, but also the darkness within. I started to understand that my identity wasn't solely bound by my mother's influence. It was rich and fluid, layered with countless possibilities. With this newfound insight, the suffocating weight of the past began to lift, revealing a clearer vision of who I could become. One evening, after hours of journaling under dim light, I paused, reflecting on Jung's words. "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." These words echoed in my mind, and suddenly the realization of this journey became palpable. I wasn't just rediscovering my voice. I was reclaiming my right to exist authentically, unfiltered by the shadows of others. The shadows that once defined me now became mere contours, against the vibrant colors of my true self. As I embraced this transformation, each day brought challenges, yet I felt resolute. I took deliberate steps to express my true thoughts, allowing vulnerability to mix with courage. Journaling became more than just therapy. It was an act of defiance against the silence I had learned to inhabit. I wrote about my dreams, my passions, and the simple joys that permeated my life. Each word penned was a declaration of my existence, a way to reclaim my narrative. This new journey unfurled like a map leading to uncharted territory. I could finally taste the freedom in articulating who I was, unafraid of the judgments that might follow. Each day was a small rebellion, a step closer to living authentically. With every affirmation I declared, the shadows grew fainter and my voice grew clearer. I knew I was finally on the path to healing, unlocking the doors to my potential and embracing the woman I was meant to be. The melody of my soul began to rise, echoing with strength and clarity, intertwining with the narrative I was now ready to share with the world. Weeks melted into months, and with each passing day, I felt the gravity of transformation pulling me deeper into the complexities of my psyche. Embracing individuation required not just reflection, but also courage to confront long-avoided shadows. The thought of exploring these unresolved emotions stirred both fear and determination within me. To facilitate this introspection, I committed to regular therapy sessions with Dr. Miles. Her compassionate presence offered a safe haven for navigating intricate feelings. "Let's begin with your relationship with your mother," she gently prompted during our first meeting. I hesitated, the history of pain weighing heavily on my heart. But as I spoke, the truth spilled out like a long-held breath. Her constant criticism left me feeling inadequate, I confessed, my voice cracking. Even now, I can't silence her voice. It drowns out my own. Dr. Miles guided me in confronting the shadow created by my mother's words, encouraging me to visualize her not as an adversary but as a wounded child, someone who had also faced fear and disappointment. It shifted my perception. I realized that her harshness reflected her unhealed wounds rather than a verdict on my worth. Maybe her words were more about her struggles than about me, I mused, allowing sadness and compassion to intertwine. Visualizing my inner child became instrumental in my healing journey. I imagined that young Sophia, vibrant yet overwhelmed, standing in an open field, yearning for acknowledgement. "You are safe," I would whisper, reaching out to her spirit. "You deserve to be heard." This act of nurturing my younger self allowed me to embrace her forgotten joys and frustrations, slowly bridging the gap between us. I began to dissect the complexes that had rigidly defined my self-image. With each session, I noted the recurring thoughts that plagued me. You're not enough, and you'll never be good enough. Dr. Miles encouraged me to identify and dismantle these beliefs, one painful layer at a time. What emotions arise when these thoughts appear? She would ask, leading me to confront the tangled feelings lurking beneath my surface. One day, the enormity of this emotional unearthing hit me. I feel like a constant failure, I admitted, the words cloaked in raw vulnerability. I've spent years trying to fit into someone else's expectation. Recognizing this pattern illuminated the connections between my mother's criticisms and my self-perception. I understood that I had been projecting my insecurities onto my relationships, fearing judgment from friends and family who had always supported me. Journaling deepened my self-reflection. It became an intimate dialogue with my new understanding. Each evening, I poured out my thoughts, my dreams, fears, and triumphs, transforming the ink on the pages into declarations of my existence. Writing became a powerful act of claiming my narrative rather than letting it be dictated by others. Inspired by the insights gleaned from Dr. Miles, I resolved to confront my mother directly about the impact of her words on my life, albeit with a mixture of trepidation and hope. It was time to address the elephant in the room. I invited her over for a homemade dinner, the mere act of preparing. Food a ritual of courage as well as care. Mom, can we talk about something important? I began, my heart racing but my voice steady. I expressed how her comments had shaped my identity, articulating the pain of feeling never enough. The emotional vulnerability cracked open a new dynamic between us. Her initial response was laden with surprise and confusion, but it shifted as the conversation unfolded. I never meant to hurt you, she confessed, her voice trembling. I observed the emotions flickering across her face: regret, realization, empathy. In that moment, barriers built from hurt and misunderstanding began to dissolve, leaving room for connection instead of conflict. I understand that you were trying to help, I continued gently, but it felt like I could never do anything right. The tears flowed freely as she listened, and I felt unexpectedly liberated as I shared my truth. We cried together, realizing how easily love can become clouded by misunderstanding. As I embraced her, there was no longer just a critical mother before me. I saw a woman shaped by her own shadows, navigating her pain without a map. We leaned into the vulnerability, finding solace in shared experiences. I'm so sorry, my mother whispered, kissing my forehead. Her sorrow felt like a balm over the wounds I had carried for years. For the first time, I felt relief, not just for myself, but for her too. Gradually, our conversation became a foundation on which a more compassionate relationship could grow. I began to see healing not only as an individual journey, but as a collective effort among family members. Understanding that my own shadows were intertwined with her struggles offered a new perspective on both of our lives. With renewed energy, I practiced affirmations daily, reclaiming my voice in a world that had once silenced it. I celebrated small victories, recounting the moments when I chose authenticity over fear. Each step was a testament to resilience and a stride toward living fully. By acknowledging and confronting my past, I was gradually transforming my relationship with myself and my family. The shadows, once daunting, now illuminated my path forward, guiding me toward a brighter future. No longer were they chains binding me. They became threads to weave into the vibrant tapestry of my life. As I navigated through the complexities of my emotional landscape, I felt a symphony of hope and resilience rise within me. I embraced my story, empowering myself to share it with the world. I knew this journey was only beginning, and as the melody of my soul echoed with newfound strength, I was ready to step into the light and reclaim my voice, rejoicing in the authentic self emerging from the shadows. As spring began to bloom around me, I felt a renewed sense of vitality stirring within. The shadows that had once loomed over my life became less daunting, replaced with a vibrant energy and a determination to forge a brighter future. I had emerged from my emotional winter, ready to integrate my past and walk confidently into the light of authenticity. Embracing my journey of healing meant transforming my daily routines into rituals of self-love. Each morning started with affirmations that resonated within me. I am enough. My thoughts and feelings are valid. My voice deserves to be heard. I felt these words envelop me like a warm embrace, igniting sparks of courage deep within my core. Writing had become my sanctuary, a means of both expression and catharsis. I began to craft my experiences into essays and personal reflections, each piece weaving together the threads of my narrative. I was not just sharing stories, I was reclaiming my identity. In one fateful moment, I gathered the courage to submit my work to a local magazine. My heart raced as I hit send, a blend of excitement and apprehension flooding through me. Weeks rolled by, and then the unexpected happened. An email arrived with the subject line that sent my heart racing, "Your submission." I opened it with trembling hands, reading the words, "We are thrilled to let you know that we would like to publish your piece." A chorus of joy erupted within me, a celebration of my voice being validated. This was not just an approval, it was recognition of my journey, a crucial step in standing firmly on my own narrative. Sharing my experiences also opened new avenues for connection. I began engaging with a community of women who had traversed similar paths of struggle and triumph. We gathered in cozy cafes, sharing laughter and tears, our conversations rich with vulnerability. I found strength in our shared stories, a profound sense of camaraderie emerging as we acknowledged the burdens we had all carried. One evening, a friend shared her experience of growing up, the expectations that loomed over her life. I felt I had to earn love through, perfection, she said, the vulnerability in her voice resonating within the group. I saw echoes of my own struggles mirrored in her story, a shared understanding that reinforced the bond between us. As I listened, I began writing letters, to my younger self, to my mother, and even to my future self. In these letters, I captured the essence of what I had learned, the beauty of embracing imperfection, the importance of self-acceptance, and the commitment to nurturing the child in me who had once felt lost. "You are safe, you are loved, and your voice matters," I penned with conviction. I also decided to set boundaries, an act of empowering myself and reclaiming my time. With my mother, this meant articulating my needs and expectations. During a home visit one afternoon, I noticed her slip into familiar patterns of criticism. "Maybe you should consider a more stable job," she suggested. The familiar surge of inadequacy threatened to rise, but this time something within me shifted. I took a deep breath, drawing strength from the progress I had made. "Mom, when you say that, it makes me feel like I'm not enough as I am. I want your support and love, but I need you to understand that my path looks different from what you envisioned," I replied, my voice steady but filled with emotion. Her surprise was palpable, but as I continued sharing my perspective, I saw understanding flicker in her eyes. "I didn't realize how my words affected you," she admitted, regret softening her expression. It felt surreal, this conversation unfolding with newfound honesty. The shift from criticism to compassion marked not just a turning point for me, but for our relationship. A sense of empowerment surged through me. By voicing my needs, I created a space for both my mother and me to understand one another better. These conversations opened doors to deeper connections, and I began to see her struggles through a new lens, not just as a critical parent, but as a woman grappling with her own insecurities. With my relationship with my mother evolving, I sought to build bridges of connection within my broader family too. I began to engage openly with my father, who had often remained quiet and passive amidst our familial tensions. I invited him to join us for meals, fostering conversations that revealed his own journey of navigating our family dynamics. With each shared story, I felt the barriers we had erected slowly dissolving. The further I ventured down this path, the clearer my identity became. I began organizing women's workshops focused on storytelling and sharing experiences, inviting others to harness their voices and reclaim their narratives. The energy that filled those rooms was nothing short of electric. Hugs exchanged, tears shed, and laughter mingled with stories of resilience and hope. reflecting on how the shadows of my past had transformed into the threads of light weaving. Through my current life, I recognized the crucial role each experience played in shaping who I had become. The journey toward authenticity did not erase my history. Rather, it enriched my understanding of self. Now, as I stood at this pivotal intersection, I felt a quilt stitched from courage and love surrounding me, each patch representing my journey and the connections made along the way. I was evolving, a complex tapestry woven with shadows and light. Claiming my authenticity didn't mean that challenges would disappear. It meant equipping myself with the tools to face them, to hold space for the messiness of life while embracing the beauty of my journey. Each day became a canvas on which I could paint my truth, and in doing so, I was crafting the legacy of resilience and hope I wanted to leave behind. A legacy that would inspire not only myself but others searching for their light amidst the shadows. With empowered resolve, I stepped forward, ready to embrace the continuing journey of my life, eyes wide open and heart unburdened. My voice, once muted, was now a powerful anthem of self-discovery and authenticity, ready to resonate and inspire. Spring awoke in full bloom, and with it came a newfound vibrancy in my life. The shadows of my past, once suffocating, began to fade, replaced by the light of connection and transformative growth. It became clear to me that claiming my authenticity was not a one-time event. It was a continuous journey, a practice of freedom I was determined to embody every day. My mornings started with a commitment to self-care. Meditation and affirmations became my daily rituals, centering me before the world awoke. I am enough. My voice matters. I deserve joy. These affirmations energized me, infusing my day with a spirit of courage and resilience. Each time I whispered these truths, I was building a foundation for a life grounded in authenticity. Writing remained my sanctuary and a powerful tool for catharsis. I transformed my reflections into essays and personal narratives, inviting others into my world while reclaiming my narrative. There was a moment where I felt a wave of determination course through me to submit my latest piece to a local magazine. My fingers trembled as I pressed send, a mixture of excitement and trepidation washing over me. Weeks passed, and one evening an email arrived that would shift the trajectory of my journey. Opening the message, I read, "We would love to publish your essay. Your story is inspiring and beautifully written." Bursting with emotion, I felt the validation wash over me. My experiences were no longer just mine. They were being recognized and honored as part of a bigger narrative, one that could resonate with others. This validation emboldened my desire to connect and uplift others. I decided to organize a series of workshops focused on storytelling and empowerment for women. The goal was to create a nurturing space where participants could share their experiences and reclaim their voices. The first workshop was electric. As women gathered, I could feel the anticipation crackling in the air, ready to be transformed into shared strength. When the day arrived, I welcomed the women into the cozy community center, filled with warm lights and inviting aromas. The atmosphere transformed as we began sharing our stories, peeling back the layers of our experiences. I invited everyone to step up and share their truths, and soon they did, transforming vulnerability into empowerment. One participant, Rachel, captivated us with her story of self-doubt and perseverance. "I always felt I needed to be perfect to earn love," she confessed, her voice shaking but steady. As more women began to share, there was an undeniable connection, one that acknowledged our collective struggles while celebrating our strengths. Hugs were exchanged, laughter erupted, and tears flowed, each participant relieved to find solace in shared experiences. These gatherings prompted me to reflect on the significant impact of connection. Each shared story was deeply transformative, lifting the weight of isolation and fostering a community of support. The energy in those rooms became a catalyst, revealing how powerful it is when women lift one another. Inspired by these gatherings, I sought broader platforms to share my story. I signed up to speak at a local literary festival where I could amplify my voice even further. The thought thrilled me, yet stirred up jitters. This was a step into a bigger arena where the stakes felt higher. On the festival day, I arrived early, filled with anticipation and a healthy dose of nerves. Under the bright lights, I prepared to share my journey of reclaiming my voice and healing family ties. When I stepped onto the stage, I felt the weight of my narrative behind me, the struggles, the triumphs that had shaped me. As I spoke, the audience leaned in, and I could see nodding heads affirming the universality of our experiences. After my presentation, women lined up to share their stories with me. Their gratitude was a poignant reminder of why I had chosen to reclaim my voice in the first place. One woman, Maeve, stood out as she approached me, her eyes glistening with tears. "Thank you for sharing your story. You've given me hope," she said, her voice trembling. I felt a profound impact in those moments, realizing the domino effect of vulnerability and authenticity could light the way for others. As I returned home, a sense of fulfillment enveloped me. I had not only shared my story, I had fostered a community, igniting a passion for connection and empowerment among women. This journey was no longer about just me. It was about us, uplifting each other in a collective dance toward healing. In the weeks that followed, I practiced gratitude, honoring the small victories and profound connections made along the way. I documented these moments in my journal, celebrating interactions that filled my heart with hope and purpose. Writing became a way to reflect on my growth and share not only the milestones, but the nuances of my experience as well. The journey was not without its challenges. I understood that life would continue to present obstacles, but I was equipped with the knowledge and tools to navigate them. I welcomed uncertainty and fullness, learning to breathe through discomfort instead of retreating into silence. Empowered by the insights gained and the connections made, I felt driven to create more spaces for sharing our stories. I initiated workshops at women's shelters, broadening accessibility to those who needed an encouraging environment to express themselves. Every workshop became an embodiment of healing, a testament to the beauty of resilience and the power of the stories we carry. Embracing this path of authenticity, I discovered that freedom is not merely about the absence of fear. It is knowing how to navigate fear with grace. Each day became an opportunity to practice this freedom, inviting others to share their truths, celebrating our collective unease, and fostering an environment that honors the power of voice. As I continued to navigate this journey, I held close the belief that each voice matters. We are interconnected in a vast web of shared experiences and moments that shape us. With every story told, I was solidifying a legacy of empowerment, wisdom, and courage, a legacy where women felt seen, heard, and valued. With each step forward, my voice resonated more powerfully, echoing the journey I had embarked upon. I knew I was now part of something greater, a chorus of women reclaiming their narratives and shining brightly in the world. Together, we illuminated the path forward, uplifting each other to discover our truths and live boldly, as the symphony of voices grew stronger with every shared experience. Standing at the cusp of a new chapter, I felt the vibrant energy of spring reflecting my own transformation. The shadows that had once threatened to consume me now illuminated my path, guiding me through the process of embracing my authenticity. I recognized that living my truth was a continuous journey, one infused with the possibility of change and personal growth. Embracing this journey meant I cultivated a deeper connection with myself and those around me. I continued to facilitate workshops where women gathered to share their stories, each conversation bursting with life and power. These exchanges were not just about recounting experiences. They became ceremonies of healing, weaving threads of support and understanding into the fabric of our shared narratives. One evening, in the midst of a workshop, a woman named Clara stepped forward. "I've spent so much time hiding, feeling unworthy," she began, her voice shaking slightly. As she shared her story, I witnessed the transformation that came with vulnerability. Other women nodded in recognition, their own stories echoing Clara's struggles. The room filled with a palpable sense of camaraderie and strength, reinforcing our belief that no one was alone in their journey. As our community blossomed, the idea of creating a storytelling festival took root. This festival would celebrate our collective experiences, allowing even more voices to be heard. I felt excitement mixed with trepidation as I envisioned women from various backgrounds coming together to share their truths and empower each other. In the months leading up to the festival, I worked diligently, reaching out to local organizations and artists. There were moments of doubt, wondering if I could truly pull this off, but I drew strength from the community we had built together. Each step forward fueled my excitement, reminding me that authentic living was about navigating the uncertain with courage. On the big day, the atmosphere was electric. Colorful decorations brightened the park, while laughter and music filled the air. Women gathered, eager to share, coming together as a united force. As I took the stage, I felt a heartbeat of energy, a reflection of all the stories shared, the connections formed. When I spoke of resilience and the power of voice, the audience leaned in, captivated by the truth woven into every word. After my speech, many women approached me, their gratitude palpable. "You've inspired me to speak out," one woman said, her eyes shining. This reminder of our impact was powerful. It affirmed why I had committed to sharing my journey. Each workshop and the festival created ripples beyond our immediate community. I started receiving messages from women who resonated with my story, feeling empowered to share their own experiences. The legacy of connection built with every narrative celebrated the strength of every woman's journey, weaving a tapestry of empowerment. I realized that embracing my identity didn't mean erasing my past. Rather, it integrated all aspects of who I was. I learned to honor my journey, recognizing how every challenge contributed to my current resilience. Each story shared became a seed of hope, nurturing future generations to embrace their truths. As I thrived in this new identity, I found that authenticity was not just about standing firmly in my truth. It meant inviting others to do the same. I was committed to creating more spaces where every voice could be heard, where the beauty of diverse experiences could be celebrated. With each step I took, my confidence grew, and I saw myself as a catalyst for change. I understood that every narrative shared could inspire and uplift another, forming a circle of healing that could reach far and wide. Together, we were building a legacy, an empowering movement where women felt seen, heard, and celebrated for their authenticity. Reflecting on this journey, I realized that our collective power resonated louder than any individual struggle. This legacy wasn't just mine. It belonged to every woman who had reclaimed her voice and every child who would someday feel the freedom to express their truth. As I forged ahead, I held close the belief that each of our stories mattered. Together, we would illuminate pathways for one another, inviting the world to witness our brilliance. This legacy, a tapestry woven from resilience, courage, and interconnectedness, was just the beginning. United, we would continue to thrive, creating spaces of hope and empowerment that would resonate for generations to come.